Hello and welcome to the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Adrian here with my co-host, Kerry Egeler. And in today's episode, we'll be discussing profitable print on demand niches, or as Kerry would call them, niches. But real quick, before we begin, if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to the podcast. It helps us reach new listeners and it helps you never miss an episode. So thank you so much. We hope you enjoy the episode. And with that, let's dive in.
And we're back with the niche episode. I'm calling it niches.
The niches, battle for how it's said.
Niches are weak. The riches are in the niches. What's up, dude? How are you?
Oh, dude, I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. I guess we're both heading off to Vegas this weekend.
Yeah.
That's exciting. I'm excited about that. I'm not going to party. I'm going with my son. So my son's 7. And we're going to a Pokemon Go event, so that's going to be fun.
Nice.
It's going to be interesting.
That's cool. I'm going for kind of a totally different reason. I'm also not going to party. My wife's actually going for a convention, and I thought, why not like join her, have some fun. I'm just going to be working from the hotel room during the day, and then at night we're going to go to some shows. So I don't know exactly which shows we're going to go to yet, but we are going to decide. And there's also this really cool thing. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Meow Wolf. Okay, so
Meow Wolf.
It's called Meow Wolf, which is like such a funny name. And they actually have it in a couple different places. They just opened one in Denver not too long ago. They have one in New Mexico. That might have been where the original one was created. And now they have one in Vegas as well. And we've always wanted to go. It's just supposed to be like a very artistic experience. Like apparently at the one in New Mexico, you just walk through this huge building and you can do all these crazy things. Like there's like a washer or a dryer machine that you can open up and go into. And there's like a slide that goes down to like another room. And it's just supposed to be like a really fun, cool, out of the box experience. So we're really looking forward to that. But
nice.
It's crazy how it's a total coincidence that you and I are going to be there at exactly the same time. Like that's crazy, man.
I told you a couple months ago I was going to this event. And you were like, I think I'm there that exact same weekend. So we're gonna meet for the first time in person, and we're gonna have some dinner and hang out in Vegas for a little bit. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, I'm super looking forward to it, man. Like it'll be so fun to meet in person. I feel like I know you so well now, and it's weird to me that we've never actually met in person. We've only met virtually. So
the 2023 life.
This is long overdue. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is long overdue. But anyhow, why don't we jump into this? Today's episode is something that you and I are both very passionate about, and we've actually already done an episode completely dedicated to niches. But what we didn't do in that episode is give a bunch. Well, we actually did mention niche suggestions. But I thought that it would be cool to actually have a episode dedicated to sharing niche ideas, and people can literally just steal these ideas and start their own print on demand businesses around them. And hopefully there's a lot of like gems and gold nuggets throughout. But really, I was thinking about breaking down this episode in 3 parts. First of all, really briefly describe what is a niche. Secondly, what makes a profitable niche, and then just jump into profitable niche ideas. And we have a lot for you guys today. I think, Kerry, what do we have, like 16 niche ideas that we like just quickly came up with? And there's so many more. This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, I was reading an article earlier that was like 1,000 t-shirt niches, and I was like, or niches, whatever.
That's a bit much.
And no, these are 16 good ones. Some of them maybe more common than others, but there are definitely some gems in here that I think people will enjoy for sure.
Cool. So why don't we start out with what is a niche? And I'm just going to give a really brief explanation on this one because we have
a whole episode.
Yeah, we have a whole episode talking about it and why it's so important. But in brief, a niche is really just a fancy word for a specific segment of the population that has its own unique needs, preferences, or identity. That's it. That's really what it is. So I don't want to go too much more in that because we've just talked so much about that in past episodes. Why don't we jump into the next
episode 005.
Is that the one? Okay.
Yeah, if you want to go back and listen to that, episode 005, why niching down is essential to print-on-demand success. We go really in depth on niches,
whatever you want to call it.
Niches. I
don't know. Did you want to take the next point, which is what makes a profitable niche?
Yeah, what makes a profitable niche? So
niche, whatever you want to call it, man.
I feel like I'm going full Oklahoman. You never go full Oklahoman. I'm going full Oklahoman right now. Y'all want to hear some niches?
Oh my god!
If I had like a sweet tea right here and a tornado outside, y'all want to talk about some niches? All right, niches. Okay. What makes a profitable niche? I don't know, man. What makes I'm just kidding. No, I'm a big believer in number one, going really deep. So we've talked about, going really deep. I'll try to keep it brief again, but if you're going to go into the dog niche, that's spoiler alert. That's one of them on our list, right? Like, you don't want to just go in with the same generic dog t-shirts or designs that everybody else is doing. You got to have kind of your own unique spin on it, or you got to go a little bit deeper, or you got to think about really who your customer is. Get really, really defined on who that person is, what's their age group, their occupation, their location. These kind of different things that you can kind of tap into can create a profitable niche for your business. And so what makes a profitable niche? I think the controversial thing here is like most of these niches that we maybe all of them that we have on this list, they're not like really, I don't think any of them are like brand new. They're not going to shatter the internet. I mean, there's maybe one, I won't spoil it, but there's one that's
that one near the end.
Oh man. Yeah. You put it on there and I was like, you stole that's mine.
I took that from you.
I know. I'm the one who's going to talk about it though. You got to stay tuned to hear what it is. But most of these niches are not like, they're not anything new. It's what makes them profitable is number one, there's demand there already. So there are already businesses selling in these niches. So that's a good indication that you can also make money in these niches. And number two, you can make it profitable by putting your own spin, your own flavor, your own personality into it. And so you shouldn't be just taking these niches and then going out there and trying to recreate the most popular brand, right? That's not what you should do, but put your own personality, your own flavor into it. And you can create a really unique spin on it that will create something that people love, potentially.
Yeah.
Hopefully that explains it.
Totally. And a couple other little pointers, like, something that people are passionate about. We talked about this. Passion equals profits, baby. We quoted that.
The profit is in the passions.
In one of these past episodes, really like profits are in passions. Another thing that makes a profitable niche is if the niche has online communities where people are congregating. That's a sign of a passionate niche. Those are communities built around this niche. Those are people who clearly care about what this is, and they're very likely to be your customers. So another kind of pro tip is creating cross niche designs can be super powerful. So you can be in a niche, and then what you'll find is that there are certain interests that kind of overlap with specific niches. And man, you can create some very powerful designs by figuring out what those are and overlapping them.
And sometimes you can even cross niches and make a whole brand out of that. If there's enough people doing two things at once, if there's enough people that are interested in both of those things or do them together, there could be an opportunity to create a dual niche brand. So
totally. And there are some super successful ones. I'm actually going to name drop one in this episode. So that's
I feel like you're teasing. We're both just teasing the good. The goods are coming. So stay tuned. You got to listen all the way.
Carrots. Just dangling the carrots.
We better get into it.
Yeah. So let's jump into the profitable niches. The last thing I just want to say before we do that is there are different categories that we see a lot of profit making potential, and some of those include animals, hobbies, activism, careers, sports, religion, and politics. So all of these are actually most of our ideas, I'm going to say that most of our ideas are going to fall under one of these categories, but it is not limited to that. There are other categories as well. So with that, why don't we just pop right in and get right into it? Did you want to take the first one? You want me to take the first one?
Yeah, I'll do it. Number one we've
Yeah.
got on the list is doggies. So we talked about the category of animals. Dogs are the reason dogs are on this list is because uh, so many people have a dog or multiple
Mm-hmm.
dogs. They're man's
Mm-hmm.
best friend.
Mm-hmm.
There is this relationship that humans have with their dogs. I think most of you guys know this, but dogs are never not going to be a profitable niche. Like they're always
Correct.
going to be profitable.
Yeah.
Now, again, you want to figure out how you could put your own unique spin on the dog category. Obviously, there's a million doggy brands out there with,
Mm-hmm.
doing some of them doing millions of dollars per year, some of them doing smaller. And so you got to kind of figure out what's your unique take on that. So again, one of the things we've been talking about is there cross niches you can add to this? Are there things that people love to do with their dogs that you could add on to some of your designs, right? Is there a unique person that you could cater to, right? All different types of people have dogs: young people, old people,
Mm-hmm.
middle-aged people, women, men, any ethnicity, any background, occupation. I mean, like, is there a specific person that you could cater to? And one of the tips we just have on here, which is really simple, is just consider niching down by the breed of dog. That's just an
Yeah.
easy way to get a little deeper and be a little more specific and stand out, is just by focusing on one type of dog. That might
Totally.
be underserved, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a dog breed that you're passionate about or that you have. So dogs is number one on the list. You want to add anything to that, Adrian?
Yeah, I really think so. What I like about niching down by breed is that's going to be a lot easier to be the king or the queen of that space
Yeah.
than it is to try to be like dogs in general. Like there's a huge online dog apparel company called, I think they're called iHeartDogs.com. They're huge. And I'm pretty sure they do print on demand. I'm not entirely certain, but I know that one of the print providers I used to use used to fulfill for them. So, but they like you're going to be competing with huge companies like them if you just go broad in the dog niche. And I've been in the dog niche. It's very competitive, even though I was still able to grow my business to six figures in the first 14 months. So there's absolutely profit to be made there, and we kept it broad. But if in 2023 I was creating a new dog inspired brand, I would probably choose a breed, and I would do some research, and I would find which breeds, have the most passionate owners or have the most people own those kind of animals. So I know that Pit Bull is a very passionate breed of owner. Pit Bulls is a very passionate breed of owners because there's a lot of controversy around Pit Bulls, and that actually creates more passionate people on this side of, should pit bulls exist or should pit bulls not exist? It's actually a very controversial topic because unfortunately, a lot of attacks are done by pit bulls, and I think that those are actually probably more the fault of the owners. But still, like each person can take their own side. All I know though is that it's a very passionate niche. It's also a niche that a lot of people are in, that a lot of people fall into because there are a lot of pit bull owners out there. You can even niche down another level. You could say rescue pit bulls. Pit bulls, unfortunately, are a breed that are just abandoned a lot, which is really sad. And there's a lot of people that are very passionate about rescuing pit bulls. So you could create a brand around pit bull rescues. But I'm just throwing kind of ideas out there. But yeah, you said it pretty well, Kerry. So why don't we just hop into cats here?
Let me add one more
Yeah,
thing.
go
I
for
was just
it.
gonna add, kind of popped into my head while you were talking, was, I have a student that has a doggy focused brand, but one of the unique elements that he's found that's kind of taken off for him is he does these kind of tie dye. They're almost tie dye t-shirts.
Mm,
They are tie dye. They're tie dye
cool.
t-shirts with the little, with the designs on them. So it's basically his designs on tie dye, and it's kind of this unique look that has become popular in some other categories and different things. But he's kind of
Hmm.
found his own little lane with that really has helped him take off. And so that there's just different ways. You talked about a few as well, which were really great. Different ways that you can kind of put your own spin on it. Find your own unique take and stand
Yeah.
out.
Cool. Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, tie-dye is trendy, so he's mixing kind of like on trend, products
Yeah.
with the dog niche. That's awesome. All right. So next is cats. And really, cats is kind of similar to dogs. I would say of all the animal niches out there, of all the stores, the most common ones you probably see are dogs and cats. There are a ton of passionate cat lovers. I feel like there's kind of like a battle out there where it's like, are you a cat person or a dog person? Are you a cat lover or a dog lover? And I know a lot of people have both, but I also know that a lot of people favor one or the other. So
I'm gonna go neither on that. I'm gonna go neither on that question. No dogs and
you have
no
allergies
cats.
or something? No?
I love you if you have a dog or a cat.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah,
Dog or cat
well,
for me.
maybe you can make a niche of like you that is like,
Hey,
what do you call
maybe
agnostic to
anti dogs, anti cats.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We only have
I don't know
birds
how well
around
that would
here.
do. I don't think people are very passionate about not being a dog or a cat owner, but I could be wrong. You tell me, Carrie. I don't own cats or dogs either, but I don't.
Man, I don't hate either one. I like. We had a dog when we first got married.
Okay.
We had a Shih Tzu, and
Okay.
he's a great dog. We just once we had a kid, he didn't get as much love, and so he was kind of he bit our son one too many times,
Ooh.
and so we got rid of him. But
Oh,
if you meet my wife, she's she's pretty anti pet,
really?
or anti
Interesting.
dog. Like, yeah, she just it's not that she dislikes them, she just doesn't want one, and she's very passionate about why. It's like,
Yeah.
why would you want your
Yes.
house to smell, and you got to groom them, and you got to feed them, and it's like you got to walk them, and it's like all this stuff you got to do, and money you got to spend. It's like she's pretty passionate about it. So there might be an opportunity there. The anti
That's
doggy
so
cat
funny.
group.
My wife is like the polar opposite. She's
Really?
very pro dog and cat. Like she wants us to get a pet so bad. She's been like for years, she's been trying to get us to get one. And we are going to get one. I've already agreed to it. It's
That's
just
the thing
that
though, man. Is if you travel a lot, and that's
we
another thing
travel a lot.
My wife says, she's like, every time you travel, you got to figure out what to do with them. You got to put them
Yeah,
in a
and that is my
thing. You gotta
biggest
find somebody
pushback
to-
right now is we
Yeah.
travel a lot. Like we were just in the Philippines, we're going to Costa Rica soon, we're going to Vancouver for the summer. Like we travel a lot. So it's hard like, to have that responsibility. But I think next year we're going to be, a bit more settled and so I have to get one. I already promised. So it's only a matter of time for us. I've already signed away my life on that one. So but yeah, going back to the cat niche, I think it's similar to the dog niche. There are a lot of crossover interests. Like I've found that cat lovers, a lot of them are also book lovers. I found that cat lovers, a lot of them are vegan. I found that cat lovers, a lot of them like tea. Like there's all these overlapping interests, and you can have, if you want, you can create a cat inspired brand, and then you can create all these designs with these overlapping interests and just see what works best for you. And if something works well, double down, create more of them. Like if you find two overlapping interests and they're doing really well, create more designs with those overlapping interests. You can have a lot of fun with this. So yeah, that's kind of all I have about cats.
Number 3 on the list is you know what? I'm gonna pop down to some of the ones I have down here. We're gonna just
Sure.
hop around.
Sure.
Number 3 on the list, I put down family. Man, I feel like family. No, this could go a lot of different ways. And I think let me see. Did you put that down as a category? No.
I did not. No.
So family is a little bit broad, but I put that down as one of them because having a brand that caters to like moms or dads or grandmas, grandpas, uncles, aunts. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel like every year it just gets bigger and bigger. I don't know why that is, but it just seems like you see more and more and more. And I think people really, really eat up those family related things because there's so much built in, like just emotion with it. People care so deeply about their kids and their spouse and their sisters and brothers. Another one I didn't even think of, but sisters and brothers and those relationships. It could even be going a little bit step further, like a friend bit, the friend niche of like having designs all around your friends, which is kind of like family. But if I put family down as one, I think it just seems to me like it's just it just gets bigger every year. You just see more designs, more products, more things catered to like family.
Yeah.
But I think the way that you should go about it is picking one of those categories, something like we just talked about, like a
Yeah.
brand that focuses on moms, and it's all around
Mm.
moms or around dads or around, any of those things we talk about, grandmas, grandpas, sisters, brothers, kids, all those kind of things. But around in that family category, there's a couple. There's actually two brands. I think they actually might be owned by the same. I think they might be the same company. But I absolutely love it. There's one called Middle Class Fancy. I talk about all the time.
Oh, I've not
Middle
heard of
Class
that
Fancy.
one.
It's called if you just go to middleclassfancy.com.
Middle
Yeah,
class.
they must be the same company. There's Middle Class Fancy, but there's also one called Rad Dad. And
Okay.
I follow both of these
Interesting.
on social media. And
Okay.
they're so good. They're so good. I know you can't see this, but like one of their most popular shirts says "We ride at dawn," and it's just a riding lawnmower. And then there's like grilling T-shirts, and like there's one that says "Dad's Against Weed," and it's got a weed eater on it. Like it's
Oh
the weed
my
eating
God,
outside.
that's
It's just like,
hilarious.
they're so good.
So
You guys ready to
clever.
rock and roll? And it's like an old '90s van, like just the dad things, like. It's so good. And then Middle Class Fancy is kind of in that same category. It's just kind of like they're just hilarious. So anyways,
And
I think these
name sauce
brands,
promotion.
they cater to kind of the meme culture, those kind of things. I mean, if you're going
Yeah.
to go for that, you can also go for the sentimental, right? Like you can go for
Right.
the sentimental type stuff with moms, dads, those kind of things, grandmas. But I think family's a really big one, and it just seems like it's always growing.
Yeah, I personally find the funnier designs are like always perform the best overall. The sentimental ones they can sell and they can sell well, but I've just found that overall, over all the years I've been doing this and all the designs I've dropped, it's almost always the funny designs. So something like this, Middle Class Fancy or the other website you mentioned, like with those hilarious kind of like those hilarious designs. And I feel like what you could even do is you could use these companies as examples. And if you're in a different niche, you can actually find ways to repurpose some of these slogans
Yeah,
and make it
absolutely.
relevant to your niche.
Absolutely.
That's so much fun to do. I have a question for you though.
Yes,
So for the family niche, what would you and maybe you kind of answered this, but I just want clarity here. So are you saying that you would build a brand around one kind of relationship type or one role? Like you would build a brand for dads, a brand for moms. And then my next question is, would you niche down any further, or would you keep it broad and then just do a bunch of like maybe cross interests and stuff under that umbrella?
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough question. That my initial would be like you just said, like just the first thing I'm thinking about is like what role do I want to go for? Like that's kind of where I think that's where I would start. Grandmas, grandpas, moms, dads, sisters.
So choose one of those. You would choose one.
I would start by choosing one of those.
Okay.
I think you could add other things on though. Like one of the examples I use, I think like in my challenge when I'm training is dads on keto, right? Like,
Okay. Yeah.
You could build a whole brand around that because there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of dads doing keto or dads doing paleo.
It's a
or
passionate niche, man. Keto is a passionate niche.
Yeah. So that's an example, like dads on keto, which may or may not be a good idea. Who knows? But that's an example of being able to cross niches together, but then create a whole brand out of it, right? Like you could create, and I mean, even if you go to like Middle Class Fancy, like if you really want to get in the weeds a little bit, like Middle Class Fancy to me is almost a combination of two niches because it's mainly like dads, moms, whatever, but then it's also like only middle class, right? Like it's not these sayings are funny for people that are kind of like middle class, upper middle class. Like you get these, they just make you laugh, right? Like, but the reality is some rich dude is probably not mowing his lawn, so he's not going to connect with these, right? Like,
Sure.
you know what I mean? Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're, living in poverty or whatever, like these probably don't relate with you. So they're kind of combining two kind of niches there, right?
Yeah, I like drilling down by that kind of thing. I think so many times we get caught up in just drilling down by like a niche, like a category, like a sport or an animal or something like that. But absolutely, like you can drill down by kind of
salary,
average
like,
income. You
yeah,
can you
income.
can target the affluent. You can target middle class, like middle class fancy as here. Like though, I consider that drilling down in
It
your
is.
niche.
It is absolutely.
Just like choosing, like we're only going to create shirts for dads. That's another like way of like drilling down. They're not just men, but dads. You
Yeah.
know?
And I think you could start with just the role and just kind of go all in on that. But I think if you could get a step further, and it's really just like if you go with the role, just add a hobby, right? Like if you go with moms, just add books. It's like how many
Yeah.
moms read? Millions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, or moms, how many moms drink coffee, or how many moms, like you just start thinking about these things. Like you could pretty easily Christian moms, like combining that, Christian dads, like those kind of things, like
Wine drinking moms.
yeah, like you could combine these things pretty easily when it comes to like a role. You just add a hobby or a passion or an interest, and you can do
Yeah.
that pretty quickly. So I think if I was going to go into this niche, I would probably add, I'd probably start with the role and then add a bigger kind of passionate interest
Yeah.
onto it and go that direction.
Cool. Yeah, this is pretty clever. Like some of these designs are hilarious.
They're
Keep hot
hilarious.
dogs $1.50. And like obviously it's a reference to Costco, but they did a great job of making it look like the Costco logo without mentioning the word. So I don't think they're infringing on any copyrights or trademarks here, but you
They
can
probably
totally tell if you shop at Costco and if you know that their hot dogs are $1.50, you know exactly what this shirt is talking about. That's hilarious.
Yeah, some of these definitely ride the line or cross the line, like the Red Lobster one. That's just
Oh,
straight up.
yeah.
That's just straight up Red Lobster on there.
Oh, I
So
would not do that. I would not.
the Chipotle one is on the line, but it is funny. The
Yeah,
Chipotle
yeah.
one says Chipotle because it's like that's how
Oh
everybody
yeah,
says it.
that's
Chipotle.
so funny. I used
they
to
just
say it like
changed
that
it.
forever.
Yeah. Yeah, but most of these are, just kind of playing off some of this stuff. There's like a Miller Lite one that says Griller instead of Miller, which is
Nice,
really good.
nice.
Like, the only one I see is that Red Lobster one that's kind of
Yeah, I would
maybe
not
priced in the line.
use that.
But
Definitely
but yeah, I love it. This is one of my favorites, and
Cool.
they have so many followers on Instagram,
Oh, I'm sure.
and they just they just crush it. Like they
Yeah.
absolutely crush it.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah, I
That's
love
really
following them.
cool. Well, thanks for sharing that one. Why don't we
2.7
jump-
million followers.
How many?
2.7 million.
Whoa, that's
Yeah.
insane.
And then they've got the other brands too. Like, sorry to keep going there, but like Rad
Nothing.
Dad.
Yeah.
Rad Dad has. Let's see how many they have real quick. I should be able to pull it up pretty fast.
Wow.
Rad Dad's got 1.8 million. Jeez.
Crazy. Do you know if these guys are print on demand? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I mean, it's we could kind of like they post their designs a lot. We could probably look at them and maybe get a better idea. I
Yeah, you
think
could
at their
easily
scale,
make this a print on demand store. Easily.
yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But I think at their scale, maybe they aren't because I think they're doing pretty. Like I've seen people here in Tulsa, Oklahoma, walked by people
No way.
wearing these shirts. Like they're pretty. I think they're pretty big time as far as their numbers. I wouldn't be shocked if they're doing at least 7 figures or more, maybe multi.
Oh, I'm sure with that many followers,
Yeah.
like I would be shocked if they weren't. Usually I feel like a giveaway for whether someone's doing print on demand or not. And not this isn't always the case, but if you go to their shipping and see when their shipping times are, if they're like, oh, it's usually like 5 to 15 business days or 7 to 10 business days, there's a good chance of print on demand. Whereas if they're pre-made, self-fulfilled, a lot of times are like less than 5 business days.
It does say on their product page, designed and printed in the U.S., not another dropship company.
Oh,
So
interesting.
that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, I think at their scale, they're probably printing their own, but I mean, it definitely could be print on demand. And in
easily.
fact, I think 99% of these designs, if they were made with DTG, they would look really good. So
Totally.
I'm not looking at anything here where I'm like, oh, that would look really bad with that printing method like it.
Yeah. Especially the ones with multiple colors.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll get off middle class.
Yeah. All right. Moving along. Let's jump into the next niche. This would be the 4th niche that we're talking about, and that is gym and fitness. But specifically, I'm talking about gym here. Fitness is such a big, broad category, and there are so many niches that fall under that. So I wanted to get more specific, like a brand that you could actually create like a print on demand brand around. And the gym niche, I actually had a friend create a gym inspired t-shirt brand and grow it to six figures very quickly before they eventually sold it. So I know for a fact that this niche can work. I also like just walk into any gym in America and you will see people wearing funny graphic tees about the gym. I always see people wearing funny t-shirts at my gym and it's hilarious. It's a conversation starter. It makes people laugh. And I mean, if you like attention, it's a great way to go. Like some examples that I saw at my gym, I saw one guy and he had like, it was like a really buff, like shredded Santa and it said North Swole instead of North Pole, of course. Another one had like an image of what looked kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger and it said, come with me if you want to lift. And then this other one that gets me every time that I think is hilarious is one that says practice safe sets, which I think is so funny. If you were the first one to come up with that, man, that probably would have been a six-figure design. But it's just hilarious. Like you go to the gym and there's so many people wearing these shirts. And because at the gym, you kind of wear out your clothes really fast because you're always sweating in them and rubbing against equipment and stuff like that. A lot of these people, they're always getting new shirts. There were like my friend who was in the gym niche, like they had customers who bought from them like 20 times. They would just like always be buying new gym shirts because they always want to have new funny shirts for the gym. And that's not to say that you're not going to wear them outside of the gym, but I'm just saying like most gyms, if you walk into any gym, you'll probably see people with funny graphic, tees that are gym inspired. So I think that there's like, it is very competitive, I will say that, but I still think there's a ton of potential in it. And you could narrow down further. Like I know that gym and tattoos, there's a lot of overlap. And a lot of people, they have tattoos and they work out at the gym. So my friend who was in the gym niche, they did a lot of like gym and tattoo inspired, they were crossing interests. And that was one of the most profitable for them. So yeah, and the funny ones, I think do the best there. There was one that was created. It was definitely a six-figure design. It said like, I may not be a Victoria's Secret model, but I can lift one, which I thought was hilarious. It was like a women, a shirt targeting women, and they crushed it with that design. I'm pretty sure that was their best-selling design of all time. So now you see that design everywhere. But
we've had a number of students come through Shirt School that have done really well in the gym or fitness kind of area. There's one brand that joined pretty early on that ended up doing around $500,000 in at least 1 year. I know that
Nice.
I don't have their numbers after that, but they told me they did 500 grand in 1 year. I think their most popular design, they mainly catered towards women, and it was their most popular design said, "Seriously, I could deadlift you."
Oh, that's hilarious.
They put it on hats, on t-shirts, on everything, and it just crushed it. Like they're by far their best selling design, and women wanted to wear it to the gym.
Yeah.
Like women that lift. And that's kind of who they were going
totally.
for. And so it crushed it, man. Just like those funny gym sayings.
Yeah, and so my friend's brand was also targeted mainly towards women, and so essentially it was like funny gym inspired tees for women, which I would consider that three different layers. They focused on funny, which I think is such a great one to focus on. They focused on women and they focused on gym, and I think that is right there. That is fantastic. Mm-hmm. They had another one that said girls just want to have guns, which I thought was so funny. Lots of play on words. You can do so much with the gym niche. And like, if you just want to throw an icon to create like a unique kind of artistic, if you want to make the design somewhat unique and have some artistic element to it, literally you can throw a barbell in there and all of a sudden it's very much clearly focused towards gym, and you created like a more original design than just a slogan. So there's a lot of fun you can have with that one. But why don't you take the next one, or whichever one you want to do here?
The next one that I will take is all the ones I put on here are a little more general. So like we got to kind of talk about how to use them, and but the next one I'll take my one off my list here is personalization. Mm-hmm. And personalization is not really a niche. Let's just say that it's not really a niche, but I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to kind of add it to the list because I think that you could really kind of add personalization to almost any of these niches, maybe all of them. as a way to differentiate a little bit. I think it's just like, again, it's one of those things like I talked about with family. It seems like personalization, and there's more data around this, but it is growing every year. Like the personalized designs, people wanting to put their own touch on them, and people are continuing to get more and more creative with how you can do that. Trying to think of some more specific examples, but you've seen ones where it's a group of you maybe have seen this. It's a group of ladies that are all like best friends, and the website will allow you to go in and pick 4 ladies that look the most like your friends.
Oh,
and
cool!
It's really interesting. They're like these little cartoons, but you've got the brunette and you've got the blonde, and it's like, and you can kind of go through there and customize it to your little friend group, right? And it's those kind of things. Another, adding a person's name onto the design, or adding a sports number to it, the exact number of your child, or those kind of things. Or we've had students that have come through that have built brands around people who have had a pet pass on. Doing personalization around adding your pet's name, your specific pet's name to a design, those kind of things. So personalization can kind of be added to most niches, and they can especially be good around different kinds of holidays. But I think personalization is one that will help you stand out, and a lot of people should be paying way more attention to in your business.
100%. So a couple things about personalization. One, I feel like you can charge a bit more for personalization because it's a totally original product. And that leads me to my next point. It's a totally original product. So every single person might put in a different name or a different, icon or whatever it is that they're personalizing. A lot of times I see it's like names of like an animal or a person or something like that, but you're creating a totally original design. Not only that, there's kind of like an extra barrier to entry as a seller to set up personalization. It's not as like in my experience, it hasn't been as quick and automated as just going and setting up like a pre-made design. And we actually did offer personalization in the dog niche, and it did do really well. So what we would do is we would take some of our best slogans, and then we would just change out. So let's say, one that's really popular is dogs make me happy, you not so much. We would just take the word dogs out and, input your dog's name. And then someone could put, let's say their dog's name is Brownie. You could have it say Brownie makes me happy, you not so much. Yep. Spot makes me happy, you not so much.
So taking that to the next level is allowing them to customize that name of their dog, but then also allowing them to change out the picture of the dog. Like if it could be so let's say you as the seller, you upload a poodle and a Great Dane and a German Shepherd. It's like, so you can switch out the dogs make me happy with Spike makes me happy, and then it's a change out the picture for a German Shepherd, and it's like,
that's
now
cool.
It's very customized. And one tip I would add here for anybody listening that's wanting to do this, and this is I guess a slight plug, is the best I have found is Gelato, personally. Gelato print on demand, Gelato, and specifically you need to be on their like Gelato Plus plan. It's like the pro level, or like the tier up from their free plan. But man, it is really good. Just setting it up is very easy. So I did a YouTube video a few weeks back on this, and I created a design on the spot, which was what we just talked about. It was dinosaurs, and you could swap out the dinosaur for your son or daughter's favorite dinosaur, and then you could. The idea was to put in their name. Put in your kid's name and pick the dinosaur, right?
Nice.
So I might put in Calvin for my son and make him a T-Rex, right? And so what I did on that, just kind of tips on this, is I went out to Etsy and I just literally downloaded a pack of dinosaur drawings. Nice. It was like $1, right? And I got like 10. I got a Stegosaurus and like all these dinosaurs. And I uploaded those to Gelato, added them as a element that you could personalize, and then I picked a font. And I just said, put insert name here, and then they could customize it. I think on that one, I may not have allowed them to like pick the font. I think it was just like, this is the font it's going to be. But it was super easy. Once I published it to my Shopify store, it's like, you could go in there and it's just a drop down. It has all the dinosaur types, right? And you just say, I want a Velociraptor, or I want a T-Rex, or I want a Stegosaurus, whichever one you want, and then you just type in your
Yeah.
kid's name, add to cart, boom. And that's
Nice.
the Gelato software is pretty solid. So that would just be a quick tip for anybody wanting to do personalization.
That's cool. That's really good to
Really
know.
cool.
And like side note, dinosaurs are so popular. Like for kids, like Dinosaur Designs, if you go on Amazon, if you go on Etsy, every special occasion you'll find like dinosaur, like St. Patrick's Day, it'll be like an image of a dinosaur wearing like a green leprechaun hat. Or
Yeah.
for Christmas, it'll be like an image of a dinosaur wearing like a Santa hat. Like they're so popular. I feel like so many people can use that, to cross niche, especially if your niche is to do with children, like kids clothes. I feel like you should test out trying Dinosaur Designs in there. Just try to cross those, cross interest. But all right, so why don't we jump into the next one? And this one falls under the fitness category, but I felt like it was so different than something like the gym that it is worthy of its own niche, and that is running. There are so many people that are passionate about running in the United States and probably in the world. And you can actually even break this down further. Like one thing that's really popular right now, it's been popular for quite a few years, is these like ultra marathons where people just run insane distances. And there are people that are super passionate about this. But you could keep it more broad if you want to just running. But I mean, you just look at a brand like Lululemon, who started in yoga and then they started branching out to other sports, and running was one of the next sports that they jumped into. Why do you think they did that? Because they saw so much potential in that niche that they wanted to have like a chunk of that market. And now there's a lot of Lululemon clothes which are for running. So I think that this is a really passionate niche. There's so many running groups. You can go, there's even like retail stores that have like running groups. You can do meetup running groups. So there's so many places this could go. So I did want to mention that one.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep going here and moving a little quicker through these, but yeah, we have a number of students that are in this niche. One of our students focuses mainly, it's a running brand, but also with a focus around Philadelphia, like runners in Philadelphia.
Oh, cool.
And,
Okay.
I mean, they do really, really well. And so that's kind of an easy one to add on, is like your location. If you're around a big city or you want to go for your state, like you could focus on running in your area. So I think running's great.
That's cool. You can do a lot with that. You could for creating content, if you're in a specific geographic region, you can like put out a blog saying like the top 10 runs in Philadelphia or favorite, or you could even start like a local meetup if you have your business, and then people can, you're surrounded by that niche.
Any of the fitness stuff or like running or whatever, even sports, like it's so easy to put out content for. Like it's just so easy to come up with all these different, types of content that you could put out. So
totally.
yes,
100%.
The next one on our list is, I think it's number 7, maybe. The next one is nursing. Nursing has been very popular over the last few years. And, you've seen these brands all over, different kind of nursing sayings and nursing niches. So I think nursing is a really good opportunity. If I'm being honest, I mean, this one might have peaked a little bit. Maybe it's come down a little bit. It may have peaked during the pandemic, just because there were so many, I guess people wanting to support nurses and those kind of things with everything they were going through during the pandemic. But you might have a different point of view. I don't know. From my point of view, I think it's always going to be a good opportunity because there are so many nurses, and it is very passionate and all those kind of things. But I think it definitely hit a high the last few years. I don't know.
Yeah, so I somewhat agree with you on that one because of that period of time. But I will say the nurse niche was very passionate long before that. So maybe, like during that time, there was a lot of appreciation for our medical staff. And so I could see that there was probably even more pride as a healthcare worker. You're even more prideful about it. And you want to show like, I'm out there on the front lines, like helping people, even when it's dangerous for me. And so I feel like you're probably right. There probably was a huge spike.
Yeah.
But what I also know is that there were people killing it in this niche long before that. And there's surely still people crushing it in this niche now. There's so many nurses in America and in the world, and a lot of them like to identify as nurses. So
Oh, for sure.
I still think there's a lot of potential there. Cool. And
Yes.
I mean, all you have to do is go to like Etsy or Amazon and just type in like funny nurse shirt, and you'll find like a million. There's actually some really hilarious ones, but that kind of leads me to another occupation. So I have no clue what number we're on. Maybe number 9.
I think it's 8. I think 8.
8. Okay, 8. Let's just say 8. And that is the teaching niche. This is another very passionate niche that, again, you see a ton of designed on Etsy and Amazon. I feel like every teacher in America owns at least one shirt about being a teacher. And you've probably seen them out there like, oh, 100 days of teaching, or I'm like, 5th grade teacher, or awesome 5th grade teacher, or something like that.
Yeah.
I know that like, I was actually talking to a teacher, and they were saying that they had like certain days where they were encouraged to wear teacher inspired apparel to class to teach in.
That's hilarious.
I mean, it's just there's so much potential here, and I've seen a lot of brands that are doing really well in the teacher niche, but the ones that I usually see are like the ones on Etsy and Amazon. I haven't seen many like teacher inspired brands, like legitimate brands that have like Shopify stores and stuff. And I know there's a lot out there, but I haven't seen any. I feel like there's kind of an opportunity to create almost like a lifestyle brand around teaching. But I find that the marketplaces are where you see most of the shirts. But you can see, like, even if you just go on like merch by Amazon,
Yeah.
if you see like the top 100 like performing print on demand shirts, there's almost always teacher inspired ones in that top 100. So it's very, very popular.
Yeah, I
Merch,
think it-
Merch Informer is what I use. And I'll go on there and I'll just look at like the top ones, like top 100. And there's almost always teacher ones there.
Well, I just wanted to add a quick thing here. Is I actually think there's at least 3 or 4. There's at least 3 or 4 niches on this list where you might. And this kind of goes along with nursing. And there's some other ones here that we're going to talk about, but it's kind of a common thread through a few of these. It's not always the case, but just as a tip, anytime there is any kind of like controversy, around any of these things, you're going to see kind of this increase in sales overall. But really what it is a lot of times what you'll see is one side, not political side, but one group rising up supporting this whatever teachers or nurses, right? And then maybe there's another group in some situations that are like against it. Another one we don't have on this list is like police and law enforcement, right? That's maybe one we should have added.
Or military
right now. Yeah, military.
Yeah.
But that's another one that's like, it's kind of in that same category of like, because there's a controversial thing or, some things coming out in the news or whatever it may be about these things at a certain time, you'll see the demand goes way up because what happens is a lot of people want to support them. And so they go, oh, I need a t-shirt, right? To support it. And when I walk out in public, I want all the people who don't agree with me to see that this is my stance, right? You saw the thin blue line shirt or the those kind of things that just really went off. And so that's just something I wanted to bring up. With teachers, I think a lot of people feel like teachers are underappreciated, that they're underpaid, they're underpaid.
That's a big topic.
Yeah, and they're one of the most important careers that we have in America is these are the people who are teaching our children. So what that creates is it just creates this really heavy passion, for people that want to support teachers. And so, so just wanted to add that.
And that's a really good point about the law enforcement and military. Like military, you can break down further. You can have like Navy SEALs, you can have Air Force, you can have all different ones. But what's nice about like law enforcement, like police or firefighters, is you won't only get policemen buying your shirts, you'll get like wives of policemen, and you can make designs that say like, I'm a wife of a police officer, obviously something way cooler sounding than that. But like you see a lot of that out there, and you get a lot of just supporters who are like, I support our police or, the thin blue line or whatever. you get a lot more than just the actual demographic of people, like the actual law enforcement officers themselves. So that's a really good point that you brought up.
100%.
So did you want to tackle the next one?
Yeah, the next one on the list is number whatever. It's a number, it's a number something.
We'll tally them up at the end.
The next one on the list is the Christian niche. I've voiced my opinions around the Christian niche many a times. It's not my favorite niche to go into, but it's simply for the fact that most people, what I see is that the majority of people go the route of the just really cheesy, typical kind of like Christian designs that I just don't think those sell well. I don't think that people are really interested in those. I think that if you're going to go into the Christian niche, and you've got an example here, I could probably bring up a billion examples because there's a lot of really good ones. Yeah. I think if you're going to go into the Christian niche, you have to have your own unique spin on it. You've got to have a really powerful, strong message. Like your kind of a unique message that's really powerful, that's really almost jaw-dropping in my opinion, because like for instance, you see these brands like God is Dope, right? That seem like they're just crush it, and there's a bunch of brands like that. You mentioned Elevated Faith, you mentioned Whole Strength. Yeah. In my opinion, like you look at these, these are very like bold brands that have really bold messaging, and really just really powerful kind of messaging out there. And they're not cheesy, right? They're like they're very trendy, or they're specific to a certain type of person. And this is again going back to what we've been talking about, is like you can go into the Christian brand, but understand that like you need to serve a specific type of person. All types of people are Christians, right? Yeah. Men, women, at different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different age groups. So like cater your brand to a specific person and have a really powerful message that you can put out there. One example, another church school student of ours has a brand called Prayer is Power, and he does really, really well with it. And it's I always bring them up as the Christian, the model of the Christian store. But that's their whole message, right? They focus it around prayer. Yeah. And he also mainly serves African Americans. Like he is an African American, so he serves African Americans. And he's gone all in on that. And the message is really bold, is that there's still power in prayer. And so he's focused his designs around prayer. And that's really powerful. So I just think if you're going to do a Christian brand, think about those things. Really powerful message. What type of person are you going to serve within that niche? And just don't make it cheesy, Yeah.
Like a shirt that just says faith or something like that,
there's a million examples. Like if you go to, I don't know. I want to say like Mardell or something is the one that comes up, but you could probably find cheesy t-shirts.
Just type cheesy Christian t-shirts.
Like I'm on Mardell.com, and these actually aren't that bad. I thought they're gonna be, but there's like one that says Amazing Grace in like cursive font, with like those kind of things. Like they're just.
So what you're saying is you don't have a problem with the Christian niche. You just recommend that if people are gonna do it, go a couple layers deeper with your demographic, or whatever you're going to focus your brand on. Don't just be a very broad, cheesy. And I would agree with that. Like the Christian brands that I see doing the best, they have like a USP, like unique selling proposition. There's always something special about them. And I actually have multiple students in the Christian niche. I do think it's a very passionate niche, and there's a lot of potential. A lot of people identify as Christian. They're proud to identify as Christian, and they want to wear Christian inspired apparel. So if you can create stuff that resonates with them, that's awesome. I have one student who has a Christian inspired brand that's super cool. It's like this urban lifestyle, like premium brand. And I would actually compare it to Elevated Faith. It's very similar to Elevated Faith. Elevated Faith, I think they do an awesome job of having really on-trend designs and styles. And they actually make Christian inspired clothing that is cool. Like you want to wear this. It actually just looks cool to wear. I think that they've done an awesome job. They've got a huge following, so they're doing really well. But yeah, this one student of mine, he's doing well in the Christian niche, but he has gone into more like that premium lifestyle brand,
Yeah.
with kind of like an urban feel. It's super cool, what he's done. The other one that I wanted to mention, so we had talked about creating brands around multiple niches put together, and we kind of dangled that carrot at the beginning of the episode, and this is where I wanted to talk about it. And that brand is called Whole Strength. So this is they're a super cool apparel brand that targets Christians who lift.
Yeah, it's
like
great.
Christians
It's
who
so
work out
good.
at the gym. And dude, they're absolutely killing it. Like right now, they have around 744,000 followers on Instagram. And they literally only started a couple of years ago. They're huge on TikTok. They're huge on Instagram. And if you like go on their website, if you go on their social media, you can tell like these people know what they're doing. But it's actually a pretty inspiring story. From what I read, it was started by, I think, two brothers in Michigan who started out of their parents' basement. And I want to say this was in like 2020 or 2021. Like it was not that long ago. And now they've just got a massive following, and I've seen people wearing their stuff. Like it's a very cool, like premium lifestyle brand. So again, they're making like on trend clothing, clothing that's really good for the gym. And they've found a market, and they're absolutely destroying it in that market.
I'm looking at their website, and that's why if you're watching it on video, I'm just kind of like looking funny. Because it's really, I mean, I wish you could see this, if you're listening, go to their website, wholestrength.com,
Yeah.
HOLSTRENGTH.
It's like mixing holy and strength. It's like a hybrid of the two words, and their logo is like a cross with a barbell. It's so clever.
It's
Sorry
so
to
good,
interrupt.
yeah.
I just had
But
to
like
mention that.
like their reviews, man, like so good. They got so many reviews of just people wearing their stuff, and I mean, I just think like they're just doing it really well. The website looks awesome. The designs look awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that they mainly focus on lifting. And I just think this is not to pigeonhole anybody. If you lift out there, that's great. It's amazing. But like, I think if you're going to the gym and you're really into lifting, like you're trying to, like, you want to look good. You're trying to build muscle, and so you're naturally a person that maybe wants to show off a little bit more. I don't mean that in a bad way. Like,
Sure.
I want to create some muscles. So it's like this kind of stuff is like you go to the gym and you want to put your message out there. Like, and they've got these just really cool designs with scriptures on them that just look awesome. And it's great. So I just think it fits with the kind of people they're going for that really want to go and be buff and be big and want to kind of show off a little bit more. Like it fits really, really well. So that's a great example there.
Yeah, I just think they've hit the nail on the head. They've found something. I'd never seen a brand targeting like specifically Christians who lift before, and I was like, whoa, that just goes to show you like crossing some of these things, there is so much potential. So all right, let's keep rolling, and maybe we'll just kind of keep these next ones really brief and quick, since we've kind of went off the rails a couple of times. Like, dude, I could talk forever.
You know what we could do, Adrian? I'm just going to throw it out there. We could do a part two.
Okay.
We could throw out a part two.
Ooh.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be opposed to that idea, because we've still got lots of ideas to go.
7 at least. I see 7 on the list.
At least.
And we're about 55 minutes into this one.
Yeah. Maybe we do that, because like there's just so much to talk about these different niches, and I want people to steal these ideas. And the more we can talk about each of them, the more inspo maybe it'll give to the listeners. So when they're starting, they have some kind of just tips, some advice.
Yeah, I would I'd say let's go for a part 2, only because I feel like the conversation has been really, really good so far. Like I don't want to cut any of these short by just blowing through them. Especially because, we got some of my favorite niches coming up.
Oh yeah.
Here at the end that I'm going to get pumped about.
Including the one that we talked about at the beginning that you mentioned a couple episodes ago.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm saving that one I will save it for the next episode. So we won't say what that is. It'll hopefully be a good little cliffhanger for the next episode. But really, like, hopefully people found this information really helpful. I think you and I, Kerry, we are open books. Like we just like to be unfiltered, just put it all out there. And you're right. Like let's not cut these other ones short, because I think that we can have a lot of really good advice and tips and experience and examples on these that we can talk about in a whole other episode. And I think that anyone that gets into these other ones will probably appreciate that. At least I hope so.
I think that might be the best thing we've talked about, is just bringing up some of these examples that were really, really strong.
It's so nice to have examples. Like this is one thing I always do. If I'm starting a new business, I will always find some people that are really successful in that niche, some brands that are really successful in niche, and I will use them as inspiration. So if someone's getting into these, to hear about some of these brands that are just crushing it, you can analyze the brands, and a lot of times you can determine why they're doing so well. Like just look at Whole Strength. Look at their Instagram, like how many views they get on their reels, their TikTok, like they're crushing it. So yeah, let's wrap it up there. We will make a part 2 where we talk about other niches, and we'll just continue deep dives on each one.
We got 7 more for you coming at you in the next episode.
Cool. Well, let's wrap it up there for this episode, and hopefully you guys found this helpful and valuable. Let us know, like, if you could write a review or comment on our YouTube videos. Let us know if you're liking this. We really appreciate that. We really want you guys' feedback, because we are going to take this podcast where you guys want it taken. That's really our objective, is just to put a value out there and give you guys more of what you want. So I guess we'll wrap up there, Kerry.
Hey, that was a good one. We'll see you guys in part 2. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Print on Demand Playbook podcast. Please, whatever platform you're listening on, leave us an honest review. Whether you liked it or you hated it, we want to hear from you. So if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, leave us a review there. If you're listening over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and maybe leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.